There are two types of paychecks, a financial paycheck, but then there's the emotional paycheck.
Most people work hard enough not to get fired. You get paid just enough not to quit.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, you hire sister-in-law, best friend, and you don't know that they can actually do the job.
There's a huge difference between an employee who has to be there because they have to have a paycheck versus no, my purpose matters and I get to see it fulfilled by helping the company fulfill it.
Companies start because they have a passion, a product that makes profit.
Trials are what make us who we are as entrepreneurs. You don't just wake up out of bed and all of a sudden you're a great entrepreneur. You know how to handle people and problems. I only know how to do what I do because I failed so many times. You know, there's a lot of people here who are either starting a business, they're trying to scale a business, and, you know, we've been through all the different pains, but I first think it starts out with the why. Why are we even in this business? So how do entrepreneurs handle that question? I'll start with you, Gary.
Well, I think businesses started for two reasons. It's either make money or fulfill a purpose. And I think at some point, when it's not just about making money anymore, in order to inspire people to want to follow you, it has to be about purpose. And so companies start because they have a passion, a product that makes profits. And then they want to inspire the people that they start to hire and bring around them by determining their personal purpose and making sure that the company helps them achieve that purpose. And purpose comes from three areas. It comes from your past, your present, and your future. What do you love to do? The past gives us experiences. It creates a love and a passion. The present gives us our gifts. Like, what do we have right now? What gifts do we have that the world could benefit from? And then the future gives us what we want to be remembered for. And when we take time to discover the past, the present, and the future, it gives us a good framework on how to discover our purpose. And when we do that, and we get the people around us in our lives to do that, and we all yoke up and pull in the same direction, that's when magic happens. Strategy has changed. Ryan made it a strategy decision this year to do less WealthCon and more Wealthy Kingdom. Why? Because it's purpose. And people rally around that. They want to be a part of it. You can get people to come to work for you because that is what we call an emotional paycheck. Is purpose.
I love it. So Javi, how do you think that plays out in our company?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak just to my experience. When I first came to work for Ryan, transparently, it was because I was financially incentivized. I was like, dude, I'm going to get rich here. But I stayed and I continue to want to work here because of the purpose. And we have a lot of goals, big ideas, and the only way that the team rallies behind those things is because Ryan has built a great purpose and a great vision and something, and we talk about this a lot, where like I see my own personal goals getting fulfilled. And so when you're talking about attracting talent, when you talk about getting people to buy into the mission, everybody here who works at these companies, the reason why they're willing to work the weekends, the reason why everybody's able to rally around it is because of purpose. So I think that's kind of how it translates.
So Susan, what do you think about how you can drive purpose through an organization? Because, you know, it's one thing for me to just be like, hey, you know, I want to go help people. I want to bring people to Christ. I want to go make a lot of money. But like, how does it actually go from me to going through everyone else?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gary said it right. You have to help them discover their own purpose. There's a phenomenal book called The Dream Manager, and it's all about encouraging your employees to come up with their own goals, their own dreams, their own passions that then help align with the company. The beautiful thing is that when that happens, they are willing and able, and just like Javi said, give the extra, put the extra mile in, and then that in results makes the business better, makes it more profitable, makes everybody there want to be there versus having to be there. There's a huge difference between an employee who has to be there because they have to have a paycheck versus no, my purpose matters and I get to see it fulfilled by helping the company fulfill it. So it just drives a better culture of a want to person in your business.
I think George Carlin said most people work hard enough not to get fired. You get paid just enough not to quit. Right? And so the difference between a have to employ and a want to employ is productivity. Productivity goes up 64% when you have people that align with your culture and want to be a part of it.
Yep. You know, one thing that we always teach our students, and I actually learned this from Gary, I mean, there are two types of paychecks, right? You've got a financial paycheck, which is what we're mainly thinking about as entrepreneurs. How much do I want to pay this guy per hour? What kind of bonus? What kind of commission? All that stuff. But then there's what, you know, you said earlier, the emotional paycheck, right? What fulfillment do I get out of working at this company? There are people who work for significantly less pay because of the emotional paycheck. They love where they work. They love the mission. In sports, you know, I'm a sports guy. I always watch this stuff. Why do players take less money to go play for certain teams? It's an emotional paycheck. They want to go win the championship. They're friends on the team, whatever the case is. So it happens all the time in business. We just don't realize it. So when you are trying to hire talent, if you're constantly saying, man, labor's too expensive, I got to pay these guys so much money just to keep them here, it's because you have no emotional paycheck for them. They're not fulfilled working for you, and so you have to give them the golden handcuffs to keep them. That's just not even smart as a business. You're going to cut into your profit margin, have bad culture, have bad people who don't even want to be there. You just happen to pay them enough to be there.
Yeah.
So, I'm a huge believer in that. Gary, what do you think it will take for somebody to identify that purpose for themselves? Because, I can tell you for me, I didn't get into real estate because I loved houses and everything else. I got into it because I wanted to make money.
I think sometimes you just have to get started. It's like a 0 to 1 process, right? You go get something that's going to start you on the path the right way to where you want to go. And you have to find what is right in front of you and utilize that until sometimes you are on your journey to your purpose and you discover it on the journey. The other thing I want to add to what you were saying just a minute ago is when you're struggling with culture and you're struggling as a leader, I think there's something you have to do. And I said this statement a couple of years ago and been saying it since. You as a leader have the team you deserve. If you don't like the team you have, then level up. It's a really important statement.
I saw a lot of people writing that down. I don't think you've ever even told me that. I'm like, wow, you get what you deserve. That's a weird concept. It's funny, my daughter, she's 4 years old. You guys saw her come up on stage yesterday, but she's been saying this new saying at home. She's like, that's not fair. And I'm like, Olivia, life is not fair. I don't know what to tell you. If you think life is going to be fair, we're going to have problems. I'm teaching her that at 4 years old. Life's not fair. You get what you deserve, best case.
My mom used to say, life's not fair, then you die, right? Like, it's just what it is. And, going back to the leadership thought, if you're a level A leader, you'll get level B and level A people to want to play with you. But if you're a level B leader, you're going to get C, D, and F people that want to play with you. Level B people don't want, at a level skill B, they don't want to work for a level B, right? You have to be a level A leader if you're going to attract top talent. And the other thing I always talk about is don't be afraid to pay for great talent. If you have a $100 million a year business and you want it to be a $500 million a year business, go get a $500 million a year COO to help you get there, right? Some of us make the mistake of bringing up our MVP and thinking that they're going to be the one that gets us to the next level. Where really you have to bring someone in there who's been there before, or at least get them coached by someone who can get them there, right? I think that's important as well. One of the things I have philosophy on is I don't really set a pay scale for people that I want to hire. I usually ask them to tell me what they think they're worth. You tell me you want to make $1 million a year, I'll hire you tomorrow. But I'm not evaluating you 6 months, 12 months from now. I'm evaluating you in 1 week. And if you can't show me in 1 week how you can make me $10 million, we're going to end that relationship. If you want to make $850 an hour, I might never, ever review you, to be honest with you. But if you want to make a large amount of money, great, because that means you're going to 10x what I'm going to invest. But I'm going to evaluate it on a more quicker time scale than 1 year or 90 days. And we have that mistake, I think, mentally sometimes. We talk about reasons we don't scale. Number 2 is mindset. We need a mindset reset for entrepreneurs. And hiring great talent really is a key to getting you there. And then keeping them with purpose, like we talked about, is really the key to success. And so be okay with paying top money for great talent because they will actually pay for themselves tenfold.
Yep. So Javi, how do you think we go about attracting great talent and recruiting them? Because you spend a lot of your time doing that.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is like sales. It's a full-time job. But what we have, we've built the brand. So this is another reason why entrepreneurs should get on social media, because by the time that they make it to me, they already are pretty familiar with Ryan, the brand, what we're all about. So we're able to attract a lot more interested talent and a lot of talent that's a lot more just aligned with what we already put out. Basically, we evaluate, number one, is do they match our core values when we're recruiting, right? So at the highest level, we obviously are just running our job ads. Then they come to me and I'm filtering them based on, hey, do they train daily? Do they play fair? Do they serve others? Do they have no ego? And of course, faith at the top. And in order to make sure that they have those things, I'm asking certain types of questions to make sure that aligns with what our core values are. After that, we have some sort of skills assessment, and that's saved us so much time. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, you hire your sister-in-law, your best friend, and you don't know that they can actually do the job. So if I can give one piece of advice for everybody in the room, have some sort of skills assessment. Whether it be a salesperson, you do a mock sales call. If it's a marketing person, that's super easy. You can go get their past portfolio. If it's a admin, have them organize data, whatever it is. But make sure that you're doing some sort of skills assessment so that way they can actually do the job. And then when you bring them on, we put them on a pretty tight leash. One of the favorite things that I think about is micromanagement and good leadership look very similar in the first, few weeks that you hire somebody, right? When people have this mindset of, oh, they're micromanaging me, it's because you didn't do a good job onboarding them in the very beginning. And now after a month or whatever, you have to come back and course correct. And now it's micromanagement. But if you would have came in and onboarded them properly, then you're going to have a way better employee than you would have previously.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, how many of you guys have seen me talk about or seen Javi on stage before today? Show of hands. How many of you guys already knew who Javi was? All right. That's a decent amount of people.
Nice.
There we go. Go follow him if you didn't.
Hovchov _ on Instagram, guys.
Yeah. But the reason you guys have seen him is because I'm constantly trying to put my leaders out there and empower them and give them autonomy and give them exposure. Because guess what? If I'm trying to recruit somebody, I want to transmit my authority to Javi and everyone else so that when they get on the phone with him, they're like, bro, I've seen you. I know what you're doing. I'm ready to go. So that I'm not the guy who has to always be the authority. And so I think one thing you guys got to do is do a really good job of just pushing your authority to other people as well, not just making it this dictatorship, okay? So, Susan, what do you think are some of the biggest mistakes you see right now in business? We're in a weird economy. Lots of things are going on. You guys are constantly in different businesses, offices, all across the country. What are kind of the biggest problems you're currently seeing?
Not being willing to change. My favorite role of what I get to do is look at and analyze people's processes. So I get to walk through, why do we do this? What's the next step? Who's accountable for it? Very important things you have to have in a business. And the last week we were with the team, and it's this process goes through 5 different people's approvals. It takes this long to get done. And I said, why? Why are we doing that? Well, that's just the way we've always done it. Okay, well, that is going to be the death of your business if you're not willing to adapt and change. So we have to analyze what we do, why we do it, who's responsible, and then measure it. If we're not measuring the success of our processes, then we're going to fail. And if we're not then willing to change because that process isn't performing the way we want, then we're not going to be able to succeed. We have to be willing to change.
What about you, Gary? What are you seeing in these meetings?
Poor leadership. I'm seeing a lot of poor leadership right now. People were successful over the last many years, 5 years, because the economy allowed them to be successful. And the arrogance of that success is playing a big role right now and not allowing them to be humble enough to see their mistakes and how they need to adjust to lead their teams properly. And so they're losing good talent. The last 3 years, the great resignation showed itself. People left in droves, and people quit people. They don't quit businesses. And so between people and processes, that's what drives productivity.
Yeah.
It's the 3 Ps. People, process drives productivity, and productivity drives profit. So we have to focus, A, on processes, B, on people, to get the productivity to ultimately give us profits. And then the other thing, too, when Susan talks about change, change is not required. Survival is not mandatory. You don't have to survive. You could be doing another job 5 years from now, right? You could do something different. It could be shut down. But if you're going to survive, you have to be willing to make those changes in your business. And changes have to happen when Susan said it, your processes are telling you they're not working anymore. Process indicators allow us to see when things are stopped working. Like Ryan's phenomenal. Honestly, he's phenomenal at knowing metrics and knowing how to adjust his business before the results show up negatively, right? He's gotten really good at that over the last year. Most entrepreneurs don't. They wait to make decisions when their profit indicators tell them they're not making money. And that's at the end of their cash conversion cycle, and it's too late. Some of you guys have a 6-month cash conversion cycle. So if you don't make the change in your process till the end of the 6 months, guess what happens? Now you have 6 more months of bad season to get back to making money, and you may not make it through. The other thing I think is that the difference, I'm going to kind of spin the question a little bit. Successful entrepreneurs, people that are succeeding right now, that are very successful, Ryan included, Javier included in this, successful people, they have two things that are common with them. The first thing is they say words like, I get to learn, I get to lose, I get to win. Instead of saying life sucks, they go, I get to. They're grateful. They're grateful for the good and the bad. The second thing that I see a lot of times with successful entrepreneurs is they ask questions. I mean, one of the things Ryan for is his podcast. Why? Because he asks great questions. And he asks great questions because it allows him to learn. And these things are mindset, right? They say, I get to, they stay grateful, and then they ask questions because statements close the mind, questions open the mind. So they're always opening their mind to ways of improving, which leads to innovation. And that leads to change.
Yeah, if you guys, I know we had worship and everything this morning, but later on today, I'll ask you guys, go read James chapter 1. In James chapter 1, he talks about how we should rejoice in all of our trials, because if we rejoice in our trials, we're going to develop perseverance, and through perseverance, we're going to become mature and complete. And so trials are what make us who we are as entrepreneurs. You don't just wake up out of bed and all of a sudden you're a great entrepreneur. You know how to handle people and problems. I only know how to do what I do because I failed so many times. I've had to deal with way bigger problems than most people. And that's what it comes to when you're in business and, everything else. I would say, to leave them with, Javi, when you're going through making a change, it's never easy for employees because maybe I see the vision. I can totally see where this is going. I've done this a million times, but they don't. And I can tell you, no employee likes change. They are creatures of habit. So how do you get people on board?
I think it's transparency. I think one thing that we've made mistakes of in the past is not having a clear line of communication, right? Ryan communicates to me and then maybe I drop the ball, or we just never say why we're making the change, right? So Ryan gives me the vision, I see it, and then maybe I'll give breadcrumbs to the team because sometimes I don't think that they need to hear everything. And that's been a mistake on my end, right? We're just saying, hey, this is a test. We will continue to iterate. We are going to continue to change and expect it. And once we made that change where I'm like, hey, we are going to continue to iterate, and this will not be the last time that we pivot. We're probably going to pivot 10 more times before we even get to the answer. Then once you find the answer, Ryan's going to keep on testing because that's what he likes to do. And once they got that in their mind, it became a lot more of a collaborative process, and then that's how you get the buy-in. So over-communicate, let the team know that they are involved in the process, and then get the feedback from the team too. Even if you don't use the feedback, at least they feel heard, so that way you can move on and they feel like they're involved in the business.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, so I'm glad you did. But we encourage feedback and honesty and everything else. I'm like, how is this change going? What are the prospects saying? What are the leads saying? How's the quality? And then they'll say certain things, and I'll give feedback to their feedback. Like, okay, well, let me know how the next 10 go, the next 20 go. And now they feel like they're part of this process because it affects their future too.
Yeah.
So collaboration is key.
I want to add this too, Ryan. You understand, as a leader of an organization, there are moments of inspiration for everybody. Leaders get inspired when they create vision. Employees get inspired when they see the result. And so it's really important because as leaders, we're never more excited than when we create the vision. And then we get there and we get the results and you're like, and? Like, yeah, that's what we expected. I've seen Ryan do it. And? Like, yeah, we were supposed to do this, right? Yeah. But the employees are like, yeah, we actually did it. And they're high-fiving each other and they want you to celebrate. So if you want them to celebrate when you create the vision, help them celebrate when they get the results.
Yeah, I got to be better at that. But anyways, give it up for Gary, Susan, and Javi.